I want to play a clip for you of George W. Bush destroying Donald Trump's entire economic and geopolitical perspective. This is from years ago. This is not a new clip. And I want to be really clear. This is not a rehabilitation of George W. Bush. This is not, wasn't Bush great? War criminal, helped lie the United States into a war that killed hundreds of thousands. His presidency was a disaster on multiple fronts. The reason I want to play this clip is that it's an incredible reminder of the stark contrast between Bush-era republicanism, which was bad enough, by the way, which still understood some basic economic principles and geopolitical strategy, and the complete and total collapse of rational thought under Donald Trump. So let's take a look at the video and then we'll talk about it.
What's interesting about our country, if you study history, is that there are some isms that occasionally pop up. One is isolationism, and its evil twin protectionism, and its evil triplet nativism. So if you study the 20s, for example, there was an American First policy that said, who cares what happens in Europe? Well, what happened in Europe mattered eventually because of World War II. There was Smoot-Hawley, which was a part of an economic policy, which basically said we don't want trade. In other words, let's throw up barriers. And there was an immigration policy that I think during this period argued we had too many Jews and too many Italians, therefore we should have no immigrants. And my point to you is we've been through this kind of period of isolationism, protectionism, nativism. I'm a little concerned that we may be going through the same period.
When George W. Bush starts to sound like the adult in the room, you know we've fallen very far. Republicans used to understand that a blanket tariff is bad for consumers, it's bad for trade, and it's bad for American jobs. They used to at least pretend to care about alliances, about global stability, about not blowing up post-World War II international order, that, flawed as it is, has helped to prevent some wars and has also helped to sort of maintain the U.S. as a credible negotiating partner who doesn't just say, I don't like this deal and I don't like that deal, and we're not going to come to your defense even though we agreed to, which is what we've seen under the Trump era, which is just embarrassing for the United States. You know, under Trumpism, it's tariff everything. Who cares about Europe? And let's blow up global markets because it makes me feel strong and it sort of placates my ego. It's isolationism plus protectionism plus nativism. And that's really like a full package of economic and diplomatic brain rot. And that's the cocktail that Bush was warning about. And as disastrous as Bush was, he sounds reasonable in this clip compared to what's taken over his party. I'm not saying Bush was a good president. Don't write to me saying, David, how can you say Bush was a good president? He wasn't a good president. The point here is to show the contrast and how far things have fallen. It used to be that we disagreed with Republicans on policy, healthcare, taxes, labor rights. Now we're in a world where the Republican Party doesn't even believe in basic economics or facts or alliances or basic sanity. There used to be some bipartisan agreement that trade and diplomacy and global cooperation are net positives. There are negatives, you want to balance it, but that they are net positives, and that we benefit as a country when we are connected to the rest of the world rather than when we wall ourselves off from it. Now, there could be disagreement about how should those relationships be structured, which deals were fair and which deals were unfair, what industries do we want to protect, which industries don't we want to protect. But the idea that tariffs or taxes on Americans didn't used to be controversial. In comes Trump, turns it into a loyalty test, and suddenly any grasp of basic economics is considered globalist treason. And there's a really deep irony here. Trump's entire agenda is anti-conservative. Tariffs, massive government interference in the free market, not a historically conservative principle. Blowing up alliances, risking military entanglements and economic collapse, using emergency powers to bypass Congress. It's straight up authoritarian. There's nothing conservative about it. And the people who spent decades warning about big government are now cheering on a guy who is using state power to micromanage international trade like it's a vending machine. It doesn't make any sense. There's no economic justification. The cracks are starting, and tomorrow we will look at Trump's approval hitting a new low. We will look at the Republican alliances that are looking to fracture and interfere with what Donald Trump is doing. And this has the potential to become a sort of silent civil war within the Republican Party. Now, on today's bonus show, we will address that to a degree because House Democrats have their own plan to force a vote on killing Donald Trump's tariffs, and we want to see where that lands. Eric Adams is bailing on the Democratic Party because he couldn't win the Democratic primary in the New York City mayoral race if he ran in it. And he's saying, I'm going to be an independent now. We'll talk about whether it will work. And we will also talk about, should new mothers be allowed to vote by proxy in the House of Representatives? Seems like a simple yes. MAGA Mike Johnson says no. All of those stories are on today's bonus show. Sign up at joinpacman.com to get instant access. 50 signed book plates remain. If you've not yet ordered my book, get it anywhere and then submit your receipt at davidpacman.com/free-book-stuff. We'll get you, the next 50 people to submit will get a free book plate and sticker. And remember to review the book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Goodreads. I'll see you on the bonus show. I'll see you back here tomorrow. After researching, writing, refining, The Echo Machine, my book, is finally out. This is not just a book about how American politics got so broken. It's also about what's happening right now and what we can still do to stop things from getting worse. Trump's been back in power. The results have been even more catastrophic than many feared, with targeting of political opponents and gutting democratic institutions, laying the groundwork to even further consolidate power. But the thing is that none of this is inevitable. The same forces that brought us here can be countered if we understand how they work and what to do about them. And that's what the Echo Machine is all about. Some say that without corporate media backing, books like this can't succeed. I think we can prove them wrong. You can get the Echo Machine right now at davidpacman.com/echo on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Audible, Kindle, or by calling any local bookstore and asking them to order it. This book is more important than ever. If you care about what happens next, and I do, check out the Echo Machine today at davidpacman.com/echo.